It began with whispers inside Whitehall, quiet conversations in corridors where power and fear collide. A new idea, a bold one, or perhaps a dangerous one. They call it the mansion tax. But behind that phrase lies something far deeper, a brewing war inside Keir Starmer's government that could change Britain's economy forever. As November's budget draws near, one question haunts Downing Street. Will the Prime Minister risk his fragile unity to satisfy the left, or stand up against them before it's too late? Before we dive deeper into this dramatic political storm, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice shapes our next story. And remember, the most insightful comment will be featured in our next episode. So don't just watch, take part. Sources close to number 10 say tensions have reached boiling point. Labour's Chancellor, Rachel Reeves, is said to be seriously considering a new mansion tax for her upcoming 26th of November budget statement, a move that could redefine Britain's housing market. She's staring down a £40 billion black hole in the nation's finances. And to make matters worse, she needs an extra £10 billion in headroom to shield the country from future economic shocks. So, the pressure is on. And as always in politics, when pressure rises, loyalties begin to crack. Inside the government, a furious argument has erupted. Some ministers have begged Starmer to step in, warning that the tax could trigger an economic catastrophe. One insider described the fight as patriotism versus prejudice, a struggle between what's best for the country and what they call a hatred of success and wealth. Others see it differently. They believe Reeves's proposal is a long overdue correction, a way to make the rich finally pay their fair share. But even within Labour's top ranks, cracks are showing. This isn't the first time the government's been accused of anti-aspiration policies. Labour's taxes on private school fees and the scrapping of non-dom status have already rattled Britain's wealthy. Now, London, once the heart of global finance, feels the chill. Millionaires are leaving. Capital is fleeing. And the fear? That a mansion tax could accelerate this exodus, draining billions from the economy. The blueprint comes from the Resolution Foundation, led by Treasury Minister Torsten Bell. The plan? To charge 1% annually on properties worth over £2 million, a mansion tax designed to target the ultra-wealthy. But the backlash has been immediate and fierce. Critics warn that this move could crash the housing market, especially in London and the South East, where property prices are already stretched beyond reason. And yet, the left within Labour sees this as a moral crusade. They're pushing Reeves to go further, to even raise the top rate of income tax for those earning above £125,000. Behind closed doors, the cabinet is fractured. Heavy hitters like David Lammy, Steve Reed, Darren Jones, and Shabana Mahmood are standing firm against any new taxes on aspiration. They fear it'll send the wrong message, that success is something to be punished. But on the other side, trade unions and Labour's left-wing factions are demanding wealth taxes, bank levies, and more aggressive redistribution. Even Lucy Powell, the newly elected deputy leader, represents this growing leftward pull. And that's where the real danger lies. Some insiders whisper that Starmer may no longer have the authority to control his own party. Adding fuel to the fire, former Prime Minister Rishi Sunak has entered the debate, his first major column since leaving office. In the Sunday Times, he issued a sharp warning. Raising taxes would be a disaster for the UK, he wrote. Especially if increases are concentrated on a narrow base. Such tax rises would be distortionary and damaging to growth. It's a rare moment where Sunak's words echo through Labour's corridors, unsettling both the left and the right. Economists and property experts are sounding the alarm. Simon Gammon of Knight Frank Finance warns that a mansion tax could freeze the market, driving buyers and developers away. He says Britain's dream of building 1.5 million homes could collapse, because who would build when nobody wants to buy? Even worse, the tax would take months, perhaps years, to generate income. Reeves wouldn't see her money quickly, Gammon warns. The valuations alone could cause chaos. And Timothy Douglas from Property Mark adds another grim layer. Targeting expensive homes, he says, could trap older homeowners, discourage property upgrades, and strangle movement across the market. If people stop selling, he warns, the Treasury won't get the tax revenue it expects. The nation's top economists are united in concern. Professor Stephen Millard of the National Institute of Economic and Social Research says the mansion tax would discourage upgrades and hit London hardest. Isaac DeLester from the Institute of Fiscal Studies believes the government should revalue council tax bands instead, noting they're still based on 1991 prices. And tax expert Dan Needle has an even more radical idea: scrap council tax altogether and replace it with a land value tax. He calculates that reforming council tax alone could raise £3.6 billion, though that money would flow to councils, not the Treasury. But Needle warns. A 1% property tax on £2 million homes would require constant valuations, a bureaucratic nightmare. If Labour wants real reform, it should be bold. But using this as a quick revenue grab? That's a mistake. So now, Britain stands on a knife's edge. Keir Starmer faces a moment of truth between political loyalty and economic survival. Rachel Reeves must decide whether to gamble her credibility on a tax that could backfire spectacularly. The left demands justice. The right demands restraint. And the nation waits, caught in the crossfire of ideology and economics. What began as a policy proposal has become a test of leadership, loyalty, and belief. So, will Keir Starmer dare to defy his own party and stop the mansion tax? Or will Britain's housing market become the next casualty of political ambition? The answers will come soon, perhaps on the 26th of November. Until then, one truth remains certain. In politics, every tax has a price, and sometimes, the highest cost isn't measured in pounds, but in power. If you want to stay ahead of the storm, make sure to subscribe now. Leave a comment below: should the wealthy pay more, or will this tax destroy Britain's fragile housing market?